Most riders think they already know the best motorcycles of 2026. The big names, the popular models, the bikes that dominate every YouTube thumbnail and every forum argument. And for the most part, those bikes are great. Nobody's disputing that. But here's what most people miss. The most talked about motorcycles are not always the most interesting ones. Sometimes the best bike in a category is the one that isn't generating headlines, the one that isn't being reviewed on every major channel, the one that a small group of riders discovered quietly and refused to stop talking about among themselves. This list is about those bikes. 7 motorcycles that deserve significantly more attention than they're getting in 2026. And the number 1 pick? It's a machine that makes some of the most celebrated superbikes on the market look overpriced. Keep watching, because missing these might be a bigger mistake than you think.
The motorcycle market in 2026 is more competitive than it has ever been. New manufacturers are entering segments that were previously dominated by the same 4 or 5 brands for decades. Existing manufacturers are filling gaps in their lineups that riders have been asking about for years. And the result is a market where the best option in a given category isn't automatically the most famous name on the showroom floor anymore. What makes a motorcycle underrated isn't poor quality. Every bike on this list is genuinely good. Some of them are exceptional. What makes them underrated is the gap between how good they actually are and how much attention they're actually receiving. That gap exists for different reasons on each bike. Some are from brands that don't have the marketing budget of the industry giants. Some fill categories that enthusiast media doesn't cover seriously. And some are simply overshadowed by louder, flashier machines that grab attention without necessarily deserving it more. The riders who've already found these bikes know something the rest of the market doesn't yet. And by the end of this video, you will too.
Number 7. And this one is going to surprise a lot of people. The CF Moto 450 SR is a parallel twin sport bike from a Chinese manufacturer. And if that sentence made you skeptical, that reaction is exactly the problem this bike is up against. 2 years ago, that skepticism was probably justified. Chinese motorcycles had a reputation for cutting corners on quality, using components that wouldn't survive serious riding, and delivering performance that fell well short of what the spec sheet promised. The 450 SR is not that motorcycle. CF Moto spent years building relationships with established European partners, including KTM, and the engineering quality that resulted from those partnerships is visible in every aspect of this bike. The engine is smooth and rev-happy. The chassis is rigid and communicative. The suspension components are sourced from suppliers that also serve major Japanese and European brands. The 450 SR makes around 47 horsepower from its 449cc parallel twin engine, a number that sounds modest until you factor in the weight. This bike tips the scale at under 400 pounds fully fueled, which gives it a power-to-weight ratio that makes it genuinely entertaining in real-world riding conditions. It doesn't need a highway to be exciting. On canyon roads, through city traffic, or on a track day with newer riders, the 450 SR delivers a level of engagement that significantly exceeds what its price tag suggests is possible. The throttle response is immediate. The braking, equipped with Bosch ABS, is confidence-inspiring. The overall package rides like something that should cost considerably more than it does. The price is where the conversation ends for most riders who investigate this bike seriously. In the US market, the 450 SR is priced significantly below comparable Japanese parallel twin sport bikes. Number 6. And this one is genuinely unlike anything else in its class. The Kawasaki ZX4RR puts 4 cylinders in a 400cc motorcycle. Read that again slowly. 4 individual cylinders in a 400cc machine. That configuration, which Kawasaki revived from a class of bikes that was popular in Japan in the late 1980s and early 1990s, produces a riding experience that has no direct contemporary equivalent. The engine revs to over 14,000 RPM. At that point, it doesn't sound like a street motorcycle. It sounds like a race bike. The power delivery is linear all the way to the red line,
building with an intensity that rewards riders who commit to high rev operation and punishes those who try to ride it like a conventional parallel twin. This is an engine that needs to be worked, and working it is one of the most entertaining experiences currently available in motorcycling. The 400cc displacement produces around 77 horsepower, a figure that sounds unremarkable until you account for the ZX4RR's weight of approximately 374 pounds. That power-to-weight ratio places it in company well above its displacement class. On a track where corner speed and chassis balance matter more than peak power, the ZX4RR competes meaningfully with middleweight machines that make significantly more horsepower but carry significantly more weight. Riders who've taken the ZX4RR to track days report that it requires real skill to exploit fully, not because it's dangerous or unpredictable, but because extracting its best performance demands precision and commitment that casual riders don't always bring. What makes the ZX4RR genuinely special within the current market is its rarity as a concept. Nobody else is building a 4-cylinder 400cc sport bike for street sale in 2026.
Number 5. And this one occupies a category that most riders don't think about until they ride one. The KTM 890 SMT is a supermoto touring hybrid. That description might not sound immediately exciting, but stay with it, because the concept is more interesting than the label suggests. KTM took the 890 Duke's parallel twin engine, a 105 horsepower unit with a torque character that makes city riding genuinely addictive, and built it into a chassis designed for real-world versatility rather than track-focused performance. The result is a motorcycle that weighs around 390 pounds, sits relatively upright, and handles with an agility that full sport bikes and adventure bikes can't replicate at low to medium speeds. The 890 SMT doesn't excel in any single dramatic category. It excels continuously, across almost every situation a street rider actually encounters. The engine is the foundation of why this bike works. KTM's 880cc parallel twin produces its power in a way that's immediately accessible. Strong torque from low RPM that builds through the mid-range with a character that feels urgent without being violent. City riding on the 890 SMT is genuinely entertaining, not because the bike is being pushed anywhere near its limits, but because even relaxed throttle inputs produce responses that remind the rider they're on something with real performance underneath. That feeling of reserve power that's always present but never threatening is what KTM does better than almost any other manufacturer, and the 890 SMT delivers it in a package that more riders can actually use on public roads. The SMT designation reflects a specific philosophy about what street riding should prioritize: supermoto geometry, tighter steering angle, higher center of gravity, more agile response to direction changes, produces a riding experience that feels connected to the road in a way that long, low sport bikes don't.
Number 4. And this one fills a gap that has existed in the sport bike market for longer than it should have. The Yamaha R9 sits between the accessible middleweight sport bikes and the full leader class superbikes, a space that riders have been asking manufacturers to occupy for years. It delivers genuine sport bike performance, a chassis with R1-derived DNA, and a power level that serious riders can actually exploit on public roads without immediately exceeding every legal speed limit in existence. The R9 is not a beginner motorcycle, but it's also not a motorcycle that demands professional-level skill to ride meaningfully. It asks for commitment and rewards it, which is exactly the kind of relationship that serious street riders want with their machine. What makes the R9 underrated rather than simply new is the reaction from riders who've spent time on it. Across multiple riding communities, the consistent observation is that the R9 feels more complete than its price and displacement suggest. The chassis communicates with a clarity that references the R1's character without reproducing its intensity. The engine, producing around 120 horsepower, delivers power in a way that feels exciting at speeds actually achievable on public roads, rather than building toward a peak that only becomes relevant on a closed circuit. The electronics package is modern and thoughtfully calibrated. Nothing about the R9 feels like a compromise designed to hit a price point.
Number 3. And this one is flying under the radar in a way that is genuinely difficult to explain. The Suzuki GSX 8R makes around 83 horsepower from a 776cc parallel twin engine, a number that doesn't generate excitement on its own, but becomes significantly more interesting in context. This engine produces its torque in a broad, accessible band that makes the GSX 8R fast in real-world conditions, rather than just impressive in a dyno room. Overtaking on a highway, accelerating out of a slow corner, responding to an unexpected traffic situation. The GSX 8R handles all of those moments with a composure and immediacy that riders consistently find surprising given the bike's modest reputation. It doesn't feel like an 83 horsepower motorcycle. It feels faster than that, more responsive than that, more capable than that. The chassis is where the GSX 8R makes its most compelling argument. Suzuki engineered the frame geometry specifically for stability under braking and agility through corners, a combination that's harder to achieve than it sounds, and that many motorcycles in this power range get wrong in one direction or the other. The GSX 8R gets it right. It brakes confidently, transitions smoothly into corners, holds its line with the kind of precision that builds rider confidence quickly, and exits corners with a drive that feels stronger than the horsepower figure suggests. The electronics are modern without being intrusive. Traction control and ABS that work effectively without interrupting the riding experience unnecessarily. What puts the GSX 8R on this list as underrated is the combination of all of these qualities against a backdrop of almost complete media silence. Suzuki's marketing presence in 2026 is a fraction of what it was in the brand's peak years, and the GSX 8R hasn't received the review coverage or social media attention that a motorcycle of this quality deserves.
Number 2. And this one is in a category entirely by itself. The Ducati Hypermotard 950 is not a motorcycle that fits neatly into any conventional category, and that's the first thing that makes it underrated. Buyers looking for a naked street bike compare it against the MT-10 and the Super Duke R and conclude it doesn't have enough power. Buyers looking for an adventure bike dismiss it because it doesn't have panniers or a large fuel tank. Buyers looking for a sport bike don't even consider it. And in the process of being dismissed by every defined category, the Hypermotard 950 quietly delivers an experience that none of those category winners can replicate. The 937cc L-twin engine produces around 114 horsepower. Not the most powerful engine in its price range, but arguably the most characterful. Ducati's L-twin configuration produces torque in a way that feels physical rather than just numerical. Every gear change, every throttle input, every engine braking moment communicates something specific back to the rider. The Hypermotard 950 doesn't let you be passive. It requires attention, invites input, and rewards engagement in a continuous feedback loop that makes other motorcycles feel like they're withholding information. Riders who describe what it's like to push the Hypermotard consistently use words like alive and challenging and honest, and those descriptions are accurate in a way that makes the bike impossible to reduce to spec comparisons. The Supermoto-influenced chassis geometry is where the 950's character becomes undeniable. Tall, narrow, with a riding position that puts the rider above the machine rather than inside it, the Hypermotard creates a sense of direct physical engagement with the road that no conventional sport bike or naked bike replicates.
Number 1, and this is the one that genuinely shouldn't be underrated, but somehow still is. The BMW M1000R produces over 210 horsepower. That number belongs to a very short list of street-legal motorcycles. The machines that share that power range, the Kawasaki H2, the Ducati Panigale V4, the Aprilia RS V4, are names that generate immediate recognition and serious conversation wherever motorcycle enthusiasts gather. The M1000R belongs in that conversation completely. It produces comparable power, carries comparable electronics sophistication, and delivers comparable performance intensity. The difference is that those other machines receive that recognition as a matter of course, while the M1000R consistently gets overlooked in discussions about the most extreme street bikes currently available. The M designation on this BMW is not a marketing label. It reflects specific engineering choices made specifically for this model, components, calibrations, and construction methods that go beyond what BMW's standard S1000R already offers,
which is already exceptional. The M1000R runs forged aluminum wheels that are lighter than the standard wheels, reducing unsprung weight in a way that meaningfully improves chassis responsiveness. The suspension is fully adjustable, with components developed from BMW's racing program. The aerodynamics, BMW's MRR winglets, generate actual downforce at speed, keeping the front wheel clean.
Every motorcycle on this list is available right now. Every one of them is being overlooked by a portion of the market that would genuinely love it if they just gave it a fair chance. That's the thing about underrated motorcycles. They don't stay underrated forever. The CF Moto 450 SR is already gaining ground. The ZX4RR already has a passionate community forming around it. The R9 is filling dealership order books. These bikes are being discovered, one rider at a time, by people who stopped listening to what was popular and started paying attention to what was actually good. The best motorcycle isn't always the most famous one. It isn't always the one with the most YouTube reviews or the most Instagram posts. Sometimes it's the one that a small group of riders found early, fell in love with immediately, and have been quietly recommending ever since. So here's the question. Which one of these surprised you the most? And more importantly, which one are you actually considering? Drop it in the comments, because I guarantee this list is going to start some arguments.